What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about the future of the Callisto Protocol, Callisto Protocol 2, and why I very much believe that we're kind of done. We're done here. You could very much argue, and I definitely want to say early on in this video, I think it's obvious that, the future of Callisto Protocol was in pretty big danger. This isn't like the first thing to ever happen, but this is probably the finishing blow. We'll go over some of the downfall of the game and what we've seen just over the last couple months, but, I just kind of want to throw it out there. This is not surprising that we're probably not going to get a second one. This is not the first thing to have happened, but this is probably the final nail in the coffin. So, Callisto Protocol gets close to releasing. It's got a lot backing it. I mean, I remember making videos on it and just the excitement for myself and also the community. There were definitely people very, very excited. I feel like Dead Space, the Dead Space remake, almost immediately just murdered this thing. But I think that was kind of a fun rivalry, like leading into it. This is Glenn Schofield, and he's the one who did Dead Space, and this game very much is reminiscent of Dead Space. And obviously, the game comes out, and it's just not very good. I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't like it. I don't think it was worth the money. I would say I didn't necessarily have fun playing the game. It was also one of the worst cases of DLC baiting. I don't know if that's probably the correct term, but the ending was atrocious in terms of how you set it up. And really, any game that does something like that should be punished or should be criticized very, very greatly online, as it was. I think there was a lot of issues with this game: the dodging, the fighting, the fact that it really wasn't scary. It just wasn't, again, all that very good. And then obviously the ending was quite atrocious. And then, again, why this isn't the first thing to ever happen. Well, number one, we had started to hear about the sales, right? So originally, they wanted this thing to sell 5 million units. This was kind of planned as a franchise starter. I mean, this was a very expensive thing, too. A very high budget. They wanted this to be big, and they wanted Callisto Protocol to be its own thing going forward. And the ending, with or without Jacob here, you still could do, and you still technically can right now, you could still do a Callisto Protocol 2 with other characters, right? And that's still open now as it was when the game came out. However, game doesn't sell well, right? They adjusted the numbers. They originally wanted it to do 5 million. Then they said, well, we'll settle for 2, which, by the way, that is quite the reduction, right? Going from expecting 5 million to expecting 2 million. The profit there is definitely not as big. And then I don't even think they said that they reached 2 million, just that they were hoping to get to 2 million. So that was the first sign that, I guess beyond reviews and beyond reception, that, okay, this game is not looking so good. And then, well, the DLC kind of roadmap, or just the roadmap in general, was not very good, and it just didn't get many people, I don't think. The only thing that was kind of big, obviously, was the DLC. I didn't play the DLC, but boy, did I watch it, and I looked at opinions of it, and I think there are some people that like it, but I think kind of overwhelmingly the DLC was, again, panned as pretty bad from everybody. I personally did not like it at all in terms of the twist, at the end. Let's say if you didn't do it or you didn't watch it yet or whatever, I actually don't want to spoil it for you. I think you should get angry on your own watching it, as I did. So just watch it. It's pretty hilarious, actually, what they do. So that definitely, I don't think, helped the situation. And then where all of this is leading to is, well, today's story. So they did some downsizing at the studio that made the game, and it affected 32 people. Now, all jokes aside, and it's important to say these things, that I feel bad, and 32 people losing their jobs is not great. Hope those people find work, because on a lot of ways, this game is, like, in terms of visuals and the style, I mean, there's some good stuff with this game. So hopefully, I mean, if it's those people affected, those people should find work relatively quickly, because they're very, very talented. But no, you don't like to see that many people lose their jobs, but that's a big number. Losing 32 people of, it doesn't matter how big your studio is, even if it's a couple hundred people, having lost 32 people is quite a bit, right? That's quite a big number. Now, when a game gets built up, or like a game's coming out, right? It's coming in the future. You stock up. You get a lot of people. You build your studio. And then, yeah, there is kind of natural leaving. Contracts expire, things like that. People do shift in and out once a game has happened, right? And for this game, the game happened and then all the DLC happened. So it's not unheard of that, like, people would leave as they're kind of like shifting to something else. But I think all the signs are there, right? The mediocre, and nothing terrible except for maybe the ending and the DLC. But the game comes out, it's just mediocre. It sells mediocre, right? Their expectations versus what they got is much, much lower. The DLC, obviously, I think just infuriates people, makes people mad, and then we're here, and I just think, all these people leaving, some of that is natural, some of that is, I think they're going in a different direction, and I cannot imagine they stick with this, right, that they make a Callisto Protocol 2. I think they'll stick to horror. I think as long as you have, like, the leads or the heads there, you're never going to kind of leave that, which is fine, like, just give it another go, and I think, to some extent, that kind of excites me, where it's like, okay, this thing failed, failure happens sometimes, failure sometimes doesn't cost, like, hundreds of millions of dollars like it might have here, but that's Hollywood, that's the gaming industry. Mistakes can cost you kind of big. Restart, stock up, wait another 5 years, and then get whatever the next game from them is. But I almost definitely assume / guarantee it's not going to be the Callisto Protocol 2, which at this point, I don't even know how many people would even be wanting that, right? You could ask that question for sure. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to support me anywhere else, all my links are in the description below, to our Twitter, to our Discord, to all my other YouTube channels if you guys want to check them out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.